Okay, so, yeah, we will. Willie Williams.
Outside council.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, that was nice. Welcome to the September monthly board meeting of the Huntsville Housing Authority. We will call the meeting to order at this time. And for the roll call, please let the record show that all the commissioners are present with the exception of Commissioner Crutcher, who's on travel. And at this time, I'd like to introduce our newest commissioner, General Williams, Willie Williams, and had the opportunity, pleasure to get to know him a little bit over the last month or so, and attended his swearing in ceremony at the probate office, and we've visited some, and he just brings a wealth of knowledge and experience, distinguished military career, and too much public service and good works locally and really all over the country to talk about. But welcome, General Williams. We're very pleased to have you join us.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Pleased to be here.
At this time, we will look to approve the minutes. We've got two separate sets of minutes from the July board meeting and the August board meeting. I trust that everyone's had an opportunity to look at those as they've been sent out earlier, and at this time we entertain a motion for approval of the minutes. Do we need to split these and vote separately, or is it okay to approve? Thank you. Thank you. And this will also include our annual meeting, which is built into the August minutes. So is there a motion for approval of the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Willie,
Second.
Commissioner Lowe, seconds. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor of approval of the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, we will carry on. Is there any old business to come before the Board of Commissioners at this time? Being none, we will proceed directly to our new business, and I'll call on our Chief Executive, Mr. McGinnis, at this time to move the meeting forward.
All righty. I want to thank everybody for being here again today. First board meeting of the fall, and so we're looking to do some great things this quarter, and we'll go ahead and get started with our first action item. We have Michael Norman, Development of Maintenance.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
I have one item. It is a requesting the board to act on a resolution authorizing the executive director, CEO, to enter into a contract with Rizek Building Group to install radon mitigation systems in apartments with elevated test levels in Brookside. The purpose of the action is to install sub-slab depressurization systems in selected apartments to reduce or eliminate the intrusion of radon gas into the apartments. HHA's exercised due diligence in its procurement process to arrive at the most cost-effective price by obtaining bids from qualified contractors under IFB 2023-15. The price for the contract will be $307,500, barring any unnecessary changes to the scope of work. Funding will come from the HHA 2023 Radon Testing and Mitigation Demonstration Contract grant in the amount of $558,800. There are no alternatives, and the bid attached. Does anybody have any questions?
Two questions. One, the bids seem very, very, very far apart. I mean, it almost seems absurd on the second one, like they didn't understand.
I think it was a typo on their part. It should have been 425,000. So it was a typo on his part. Wouldn't have mattered. It would have been that highest bidder, and he did not have a contractor's license anyway.
Okay, second question is, that's titled quote request for roofing system? Is it- Page 17.
Yeah, that's gonna be. let's see. It's just right over the bids.
Yes, the
there.
title.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
advertised for roofing system.
I apologize, that's just an error.
Okay.
I did not catch that. My apologies.
Can you briefly describe without getting off too much with the sub-slab depressurization system, just a unit that goes?
It involves, yes, sir, it involves putting PVC pipe underneath the slab and attaching a vacuum system to that, and it draws all the air and gases out from under the slab, pulls it out through that system, and then ejects it above the building so that it's not getting inside the apartment anymore. It's a pretty simple application. Just involves some pipe and a fan, and the biggest part of this is costly is the added electrical services to provide the electrical to those systems. It requires meters, electrical meters, and additional infrastructure
Right.
to the property. We can't hook it up to an individual's apartment and charge them for that electrical use, so we have to meter it separately. That's the biggest expense.
The windows function properly, are they open in these?
I'm sorry?
The windows, the people can raise their windows, they're
Yes.
operable.
But
Is this,
since years ago, when we decided to start providing air conditioning for everyone, they keep their
Keep 'em-
apartments closed
right.
up now more than they ever did before. And a lot of areas, we have tightened up the buildings with new doors, windows, things
right,
like
that's what I was
that.
asking.
And so there's not
the
as-
age of the units and everything.
Right, there's not nearly as much turnover of the air inside the apartments anymore. So, I mean, and radon is a naturally forming thing. You've got it in your house, it may not be high level, but everybody has it.
Yeah,
It's only a hazard when it becomes contained and it collects inside a contained area and elevated level.
I was just thinking education of our residents and let them know to ventilate, that helps a lot to open up the units and get a breeze going through there. Yeah, that's what I do.
And our buildings are all slab on grade, so you don't have a crawl space that's ventilated
Right,
like some houses have. So all it takes is a crack in the slab and that air getting up in the apartment, and it's got nowhere to go, so.
any other questions or comments?
I would just ask, is this just a one-time fix? How often will they be tested, retested?
The apartments where we have the applications going in, that should resolve any issue from now on as long as those systems are maintained. But just because an apartment didn't test with high levels this round of testing, they could in the future, so yes, it's something that the housing authority will need to do periodically just to make sure we don't have any additional apartments with elevated levels.
Anything else? If not, we'll entertain a motion for approval of the resolution.
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Lowe.
Second.
Commissioner Willie. Any other comments, questions, or discussion? If not, all those in favor of approval of the resolution, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you. Mr. Norman.
Thank you.
Next up, I believe we have financial services. Please.
Good afternoon. My first item is to ask for act on a resolution authorizing the executive director to renew the agreement with Wellstone Incorporated Mental Health of Madison County to be the sponsor of the Special Needs Assistant Program grant. I'll refer to that grant as SNAP. The Huntsville Housing Authority was granted renewal of the SNAP grant in the amount of $488,866 to be effective August 1st, 2023. This grant is to assist at least 49 homeless persons annually who are disabled due to chronic mental illness. HHA is required to enter into a contract with the sponsor to operate the program. Wellstone is the sponsor. The justification of this is that we've previously done Wellstone Mental Health Center, Madison County, previously known as the Huntsville-Madison County Mental Health Board, has been the sponsor of the program for over 20 years. The economic impact, the sponsor will collect the resident portion of the rent, and they will pay the entire rent to the rental complex. The sponsor will be reimbursed by HHA for SNAP funds after proper paperwork has been supplied to the HHA finance staff, and they have verified the information for accuracy. There are no alternatives, and a copy of the agreement is attached. And this is resolution number 2023-19. Do you have any questions for me about this resolution?
It says effective August 1st.
Yes, ma'am. We received the grant on August 1st. We would have bought it to the board meeting in August, but we had an annual board meeting, so we couldn't bring it in.
Okay. Yes, thank you.
So I had a couple questions on this last year, and I'm still learning some things, so I'm going to ask you a couple questions here. So of the 49 units, that was the same number as last year?
Yes, sir.
How many of those were actually used? Did we place 49 homeless through the program last year?
No, sir, we didn't.
Okay.
The Wellstone manages the program for us. I believe the maximum number of beds we filled were approximately 25.
Okay.
Due to the challenges of the rental market, the individuals that they service, that is a challenge within the program. So yes, sir, that's right.
Then the follow-up is, as I'm still learning about Section 8 and how the vouchers work by going to different places, is this a similar thoroughness that, HHA would have to talk, and is it like a voucher in that they have to accept them, or or is this a grant that's kind of outside all of HUD that we deal with?
So this is a separate grant
Okay.
it has a separate CFD number, a funding number. And what happens with this grant is that it is special to chronic and mentally ill. And those participants come through the Wellstone program. So Wellstone is the one that operates as the conduit, is that they contact the landlords, they help the individuals get placed. It's not a voucher. These are funds available for 49 homeless, individuals. So that's how that program is administered. We review their documents for what they take in as far as the rent. We also reimburse the utilities. And with that, Wellstone, they send us information for their caseworker. And with that caseworker, they also provide the help as the mental services that these individuals need. So when you look at our total FDS, which is your financial data schedule, there is a column that says 14.267, I believe, is the column for the SNAP grant.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So is there surplus money left over from last year?
Yes, sir, there is surplus
Does
money.
that carry over?
No, sir, it is recaptured by HUD.
Okay.
Yes, they take it back.
Yeah, being a new guy, so
Yes,
it's
sir.
like him. And so this grant to assist at least 49 homeless. So whenever I see at least, so there's an opportunity to assist more than 49.
This grant would cap at 49. If we have 49 participants, that would be all that we would be able to serve, because the grant is written as such.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Roughly $10,000 per participant.
Okay, so if you took that per day.
$490,000 right at it. All right. Anything else? Any questions, comments, discussion? Not, we'll entertain a motion for approval.
A motion for approval.
Mr. Lowe,
I second.
second. One more shot at any questions or comments? If there being none, all those in favor of approval of the resolution as presented, please say aye. Aye. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. My next item is to act on a resolution approving quarterly charge-offs for the period ending September 30th, 2023. The Huntsville Housing Authority has on its books $57,700.69 owed by former residents who vacated June 1st, 2023 to August 31st, 2023. The purpose of this request is to obtain approval to charge off 44 former residents' accounts that total $57,769 as collection loss for the quarter ending period September 30th, 2023. There are 24 former residents prior to eviction status, consists of 16 non-payment of rent, 3 non-payment of maintenance charges, and 2 abandonments. There are 23 former residents that were evicted. These accounts consist of 14 for non-payment of rent, 2 for criminal activity, and 4 deceased residents. This action is necessary to remove uncollectible accounts from HHA's books. The economic impact breakdown is as follows. Rent, $49,678.20. Maintenance charges, $519.49. Court costs, $4,151. Late charges, $2,596. Bulk cable, $756. Alternatives are not applicable. The amount to be charged off is $57,769 as collection loss on the books of Huntsville Housing Authority. The schedule is attached. This is resolution number 23-20. I'll take your questions at this time.
So I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So is this due to like COVID late fees for the rent? Because like for LR Patton, that's a lot of rent within 2 months, 2-3 months. $22,000 in just non-payment.
Non-payment of rent, that is correct.
So
No, you go ahead.
I gotta think a little bit.
Well, I was just looking at the same thing. L.R. Patton's almost half of this. That's right across the street here, and as we all know, it's undergoing an extensive renovation. Did that have anything to do with these charges, the fact that we're being relocated and?
No, it does not. It's simply just non-payment of rent.
His residents are just in our pay range. And I know that depending on the amount of rent that they are charged, I mean, those amounts fell into arrears, so they were not paid.
I know sometimes we have kind of a large balance on one tenant. This looks like it must have been several.
And that's what we went. How long did it take for to get into arrears for that amount?
It really just depends on how much their rent is.
So what is this person then? How long have they been on the books for arrears? And then I guess my next question is, what did we?
So her charge-offs are quarterly charge-offs, which means it would be over the quarter. So it's however much that was in the arrears through the quarter. It wouldn't just be for one person. It just depends on who all, owed at that time and what their rent was. Of course, their rent is based on their income. So it just depends on, what they owe based on their income. But they get notices, and once they get behind before they're evicted and all of that, they get notices, giving them a chance to bring those arrears current. Unfortunately, even though it's not actually caused because of COVID, a lot of our residents did get used to the assistance that they received behind COVID. And so a lot of them just got used to not having to pay. And once they started back having to pay, they just failed to do so.
And then subsequently, their accounts go to collection. We try to recover as much as we can.
Just to provide more information on that collection, we are signed up with the state. So anytime a past resident is given a real estate refund, we we are in the system, and that is flagged and it does come back to us. So we do try to read. Yes, sir.
Anything else? Is there a motion to approve our authorization of quarterly charge-offs as presented?
Motion to approve.
Willie,
Second.
Lone seconds. Anything else? Not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, my last item is to presentation of the cumulative low-income housing finance report for the period ended July 31st, 2023. I have provided you 14 explanations on these financials. I'm sure you do not. If you want to, I can read through each one of them if you like. But as you read through your board packet, if you have something that just stands out to you that you would like to discuss, I can. I can begin the discussion if you like.
Please.
Please, okay. So I will say to you that I know you look down at this budget and you say, oh my goodness, decrease in unrestricted debt position, $353,647.45, and we budgeted a balanced budget. So the first thing I would like to speak to is our operating subsidy. It is being funded at a lower amount, with the budget being at 98%, which was aggressive, I will agree. But we're currently being funded at 92.15. I believe that is how we would end the year in our funding. So that is one of the factors in the decrease, that we're not being funded at a higher level as we were from the previous year. Also, the CFP grant, what happened in this line is that I drew all of the funds that were available in 2022, leaving $682,800 available for the elevator renovation that I understand is supposed to begin in November. So we're not going to see us drawing down that line, as aggressively as we would like to see, and of course that would represent a decrease. Now the good news is we had some other income that kind of offset the funds that we did not get. And so we've gotten insurance proceeds of $83,526. That is considered to be income. Our insurance company will no longer carry that unit because it cannot be repaired because it's in the floodplain, floodway. I don't know those by heart. So that's other revenue to us at this time. We also got funds from business activity for developer fees for $53,697. So that is the income that we have to offset the income that we were budgeting for. Overall, total administrative expenses are within line because they're at 5.46% of the budget. If we move forward, I'd like to bring forward to your attention other funding and travel for our residents. Our residents are currently traveling, but at this time, as they incur expenses, we do have funds on our books that we're able to reimburse from prior years. So that line will probably continue to remain under budget, but their trips are not taken. So just want to bring that to your attention. Also moving forward, the other utilities on the next page of the financials, the unfavorable variance is due to an increase in waste management invoices. So we've seen a slight uptick in those invoices that we received. Materials is the one item that I wanted to bring forward to discuss, is that we had to purchase $104,258 of stoves and refrigerators for the renovation of the LR Patton units. That was not included in that budget of renovation, so I wanted to bring that to your attention. Also, we have seen an uptick also in the replacement of our HVAC units at our scattered sites. When we do that, that particular replacement looks like it's running about $8,000. That is something that, those go out, we have health and safety, we replace those units so that our residents can remain comfortable, okay? Moving forward to contract costs. Of course, we know about our elevator repairs that are taking place, so we've seen an increase in that for the elevators for Johnson and Todd. Now, moving down to, let's see where I want to go here. Other general expenses. Okay. The unfavorable variance in other general expenses due to operational funds being drawn down for tax credit units in the amount This line is offset by the revenue. So as I continue to explain, we draw the money in the line here for the CFP, but you expense it under other expenses. So it really nets together. I know you see the increase, but I just wanted to explain that. Moving forward to number 12, which is extraordinary maintenance. This we labeled this extraordinary maintenance because we had a extraction of rodents in an entire building. Therefore, that was anything we could plan for, but the cost of that was over $35,000. Of course, those families were relocated at the time for us to clean out that building so we can make it, compliant to where we needed it to be. So that was not foreseen as a budget item. Casualty loss, this unfavorable variance is due to the contract cost incurred to date. So this was the unit that we bought to you that's being repaired at Northwoods. I think if you remember that request for board action was over $100,000 for that. We are, paying the contract at this time. When we settle, then our cost of that will be $25,000. But at the time, this is the amount that we've incurred to date, and we'll get our reimbursement from the insurance company. The capital asset addition, these amounts were incurred due to us needing a security system that was purchased for Johnson Towers, and then the business activity fund, which is the lawn care, they needed a truck. So at the time we were renting that vehicle, since the lawn care is a viable part of business activity fund, it was thought that we should just buy our own vehicle and not continue to rent. Okay, so those are my explanations. Does anybody need me to reiterate more? I will just say that in business, as we all know, we have our good years and we have our years that present a challenge. Right now, we've got some challenges within the infrastructure here that are different that we had not planned for. Our budget is our best guess estimate when we come to the table. That's what we do. I do bring a budget revision to the board. It will probably be in January where we go back and adjust the budget. We have a clearer picture, and we try to project out for the next 3 months. Our fiscal year end, Colonel Williams, is 3/31. So our books close as of 3/31 for Huntsville Housing Authority, but we do have a tax credit entities where our books close 12/31. So just to mention that. Okay?
That was a lot.
Commissioner Lowe, you got any questions?
Just the LR Patton, I mean, was that an oversight that we didn't plan for? We didn't realize that we needed new appliances, or?
I don't want to say oversight. Well, we should have put them in there.
Okay.
They weren't there, so I guess you could, but that was not the intention. It should have been.
Sure.
It rings a bell that we talked about that at one of the board meetings before.
Yeah.
But I thought the same thing.
That's it. That's it. I mean, the elevator's been out there forever, and you walked me through that one a couple times ago, and so that one, that one is an accounting, a little bit of gymnastics there, but I mean, you're doing it right. I mean, nothing just, so I think we're good.
I love these numbers, so I like to present them, so we have a conversation and dialogue. So
Again, when you're doing your budget, you are looking through all of that's required for the next year, or in this case, you're going to do, I guess, a midway review revision to it. All that. Will there be a resulting deferred sort of thing? Because you can't do everything, right? So do you carry a deferred maintenance, deferred
No, sir.
projects, anything like that?
now, our projects that require capital improvements, those come through another funding source, which is our capital fund. And what we do there is we have a 5-year plan that we come together, the board, the residents, they come together and form the plan of the items we will address that capital improvements.
And the rest of it stay on there, right? So you got a 5-year plan, right? So you just, you come together, you decide which one of those are going to go in.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then the rest just remains in the plan or in the program?
It's a 5-year rolling plan, so each year, the first year is off of
Melanie, Vice Chair, and I were talking this morning about these resident councils and her participation as our commissioner. It lists the committee, the resident councils we have active and also currently working on several. It doesn't mention Cersei Homes at all. Is that, is there a, and I know from talking to the property manager over there, she's been working on getting a council together, but
Yeah, Cersei actually has a few residents at the time, but they haven't been officially voted in. Patrice, is that right?
That is correct. So we're working on that and getting them voted in. So we're going to do it around, we get a little ears meeting as well. Residents that signed up for a resident council. For next.
thank you. It's nice. It's challenging to really sustain these resident councils. Move on, move up and out and all that. So it's challenging, but we do a good job, I think, of keeping these neighborhoods organized and having a council where people can participate in these activities. And that training and travel is certainly a nice resource to come up with people who are active in the neighborhoods.
While we there, I would like to say that at our last meeting, Huntsville was named Resident Council of the Year. So that just kind of shows we do what we need to do for the resident council. So I want to thank Patrice for organizing that. I mean, I don't think that's on the state level, that's a regional level. So our resident council, and we need, we're going to improve that when we get the resident council up in Cersei and Volunteers, but to be named one of the top in the region is nice to hear.
I segue nicely into that for you. Good job. Get it out of the park. Thank you, Patrice. So I don't believe that presentation requires a vote of the board. Thank you very much. It was quite a lot of information there. So at this time, I think we're ready to move into our public housing operations report.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Board of Commissioners, staff, and all of our other guests here today. Today, I'm bringing to you a resolution authorizing the executive director, CEO, contracting officer to enter into a contract for Authority Ride moving services. The Huntsville Housing Authority issued an invitation for bids for moving services. These services will be needed as HHA seeks to continue unit modernization, reasonable accommodation transfers also when warranted. And as a part of this effort, HHA is required to provide moving service for eligible residents to the next housing location when it's needed. The objective is to ensure that the prompt and expedient relocation of residents and their belongings in any event that a transfer is needed. The justification for this says that bids were solicited from multiple moving companies. All of the bids that were received were deemed responsive, and the cost for these moving services should not exceed $250,000. At this time, I ask that the board act on a resolution 2023-21, where the executive director, CEO, contracting officer recommends that the contracts with Applewhite Movers, Armstrong Relocation, Lambert Relocation, and Rocket City Movers to provide resident moving services on an as-needed basis for an amount not to exceed the $250,000 for a maximum term not to exceed 5 years. Are there any questions?
I got a question. So you've listed multiple vendors. Is that basically we're taking the first ranking for each of these bedroom qualification types, and that's who you're going to go with each time? Or how does that work with multiple vendors being named?
So usually, yes, the first ranking, what we decided to do in this case is actually take a pool, since all of the actual contracts that were received were deemed responsive. In the event that, the first one is not available, that automatically allows us to be able to go to the second one, because of course, all the time they aren't available. So when we need to reschedule or need someone else, we have the ability to do so.
Makes sense.
Were there other bidders or just these four?
These four. And that's why I said all of the contracts were
very similar, they drop down back and forth, but it's like a good plan to be able to go to number 2 or 3 if you need to.
Well, other than cost, as part of this, the ranking of the selections, were there other factors that you considered in determining that contractor of choice?
All right, well, of course, they have to be certified, their insurance and all of that is also taken into consideration. But usually, a lot of the times, it's considered cost.
If I looked at them, would I like them, or is that? And they got a good cost? No, they're just it's okay. And I want to ask that because again, there's times when the low bidder, you get what you pay for, kind of thing. And so if you ensure that you've gone through some stuff like that you understand what it is that you get it, and especially if there's some history behind it. And so we look at prior performance, if you will, to see how that goes. I mean, I know that, we usually do low bidders, but I'm not saying I'm not a fan of it, but I'm not a fan of it. As long as I got some other factors that are considered in my deliberation. So I'll just throw that.
Absolutely.
Then I think all of these have had past history with the Housing Authority. We worked with them before in the past.
Yeah.
Good deal. Anything else? Anybody got any more questions? Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
Motion to approve.
Really? Mr. Lowe, second. Anything else? Being none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you, Ms. Pop.
All right. At this time, we're going to have a presentation by one of our community partners. We have Google Fiber here with us today. Teresa and Quinn have really worked to create this partnership with Google, and they're here to just talk about some of the things that they're going to be doing here in the near future with the Housing Authority. So I'll turn it over to you guys, and if there's a presentation, I'm sure Neil has access, and we'll go from there. I go up there?
You can.
Yeah.
My name is Jason Dubowski. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you. I'd like to also introduce Austin Miller and Ms. Whitney Sweeney. We are the local Google Fiber team. Thank you again for the time. A little fun fact. This week, Google celebrated its 25th birthday. You guys remember before the internet, 25 years ago, what it was like? So 25 years for Google, not quite as long for Google Fiber. But I'd like to go through a little bit of the highlights of what we're bringing to this partnership, and we're really excited for this opportunity. So if we can open up the slide, perfect. We're going to go one more for me too. We'll go through a few of these things. I'm going to keep it somewhat brief, but there's some highlights here for the room that's really important. What Google's biggest part that we kind of wanted to change when we started was speed. Speed matters. We were behind definitely as far as the world internet infrastructure. So we're bringing speed. We're definitely bringing brand power. As I mentioned, Google has one of the top brands in the world for a lot of different products. It's more than a partnership. We definitely pride ourselves on support. Customer service is a big factor for what we do. We're ranked #1 in the industries for that, which we all have different telecom histories. If there's anyone here, we could probably start a support group. We're faster, fairer, and kinder. No contracts. We have no extra fees, no hidden any agendas on our pricing. Our pricing stays the same. I shouldn't say that it does stay the same. It has stayed the same for the last 10 years. The price hasn't changed. There's no introductory fees or anything that we're doing with that product there. So, and it's a valuable resident amenity. Internet access is kind of like it's a necessity today. We're really big on bridging the digital divide. We're looking forward to working with the group on that in the future as well. Had some brief conversations over the last time I was here, met with some people, looking at different things there. So we definitely are big in that space and wanting to help out with the resident experience with the Huntsville Housing Authority. Next slide, please. So what we did is we started with an access agreement, and a lot of details here. We just need to cover the one thing. Why we needed an access agreement is to enter into the property, but the big thing is the why. This ensures that Google Fiber will install, maintain, repair, upgrade the network over the next 10 years. So we're definitely in this partnership for a long haul, and we're going to be responsible for taking care of all of that. Next slide, please. Part when it comes to value, we're hoping to provide a value. Now, this is, we had a lot of conversations about budgets, but there's some money on here. But the bottom line is that through these contracts and through our investment, we're going to be bringing approximate value of about $17,640 of free Google Fiber service to the Huntsville Housing Authority. It doesn't necessarily relate to directly a savings because these are just additional products. But these courtesy lines have that value, and that's a 1 gig courtesy line. That's 1 gig up, 1 gig down. Definitely be able to make an impact at the community level with those courtesy accounts. And those can be used as see fit. As we go through there, each property is listed. There's definitely a list of them. Some of those could be business space amenities or access for learning and different things that we can do. Next slide, please. This is kind of where we are. This is kind of a roadmap of where we started. We went out and visited the communities. We did what we called our site survey. Our engineers went on site. We took a look at how we delivered the product. We did designs. Obviously, we entered into our agreements, and now we're into the construction phase and then install ready. The party starts at install ready. That's when we'll see the impact at the property level. Construction, as we get into this phase here, we'll do some, make sure we work with a schedule that works for the community. I know that there's a lot of coordination that needs to take into account there. And we want to make sure we're giving the residents notice, that we're working with your on-site teams and things like that. So that starts here shortly. I don't know, Ms. Whitney, do you know when we start construction? Do we
We
have?
have done pre-cons, and we're getting ready to start within the next couple of weeks.
Awesome. That's what she said.
I got it. Where was that?
We have done the pre-cons, the pre-construction meetings with Ms. Terica, and we're getting ready to start construction the next week or two is our goal.
All right, next slide, please. This one was kind of redundancy here, but we've got design plans for each property. So these have been fully detailed out, and then we cover those in the pre-con. Kind of redundant here. We can skip this one here, go to the next one. This is kind of an important step in the process. The difference between the different products we see as we look back in history, we've had regular phone lines with DSL, we've gone through cable iterations, and now we're bringing fiber. It's kind of a whole nother utility bringing to the property. This is along the lines of installing a whole new plumbing system in a way. This product will help. This is what makes sure that future-proof of the Huntsville housing communities. And we're going to be able to, I think, just for like context, we're talking 1 gig is our standard line. There's a community, there's a company here that we're actually going to install a 20 gig line to in Huntsville. It'll be one of the first in the country to have a 20 gig line, which is very cool. I might be, it's coming up very shortly when we do that. I think it's with this month, we start service on that one. So this product, it's not limited. It's going to be able to bring out power and changes, the community changes as well. Next slide, please. So the fiber jack, this is what the residents will see, and this is where it terminates, and this is the power source for the whole service. And we have a product here in case you want to take a look, we can kind of share that off with you. It's called our fiber jack. Really, it's just an outlet. It's the portal that will plug into the modem. It'll be what the residents will see. This is the only thing we really are looking for in the unit. So this would be it. It stays in the unit, so as residents move in and out, this is one of those things we'll have to make sure it's kind of monitored. And if it's damaged or broken, we want to know about it. We'll come out and replace it. Just make sure it's up to ready for the next resident. Next slide. Probably the most important thing here, and the reason why I've enjoyed working at Google Google Fi particularly the most is the partnership. And then through that, we promise a few things. You know, we're going to minimize the disruption for the residents. We are going to make sure that we do anything to restore anything that we've done damage-wise. It's construction, just to be clear. And we're going to put a hole in the wall, we're going to do some stuff, there's going to be a little bit of dust. But we want to make sure we're available day or night. That's why we have the team here. And then we are local. So we have our office right in the city. Come knock on the door, come take a look, say hi. We also have our services are right here in town too. Austin, Whitney, ready to go in any minute notice for you. So, next slide, please. This is kind of the real substantial part of the entity. Once we start service, there's a program called ACP. There's a couple iterations of this, but this is where we feel we can make an impact with the Huntsville housing, especially the resident level. We have a product that comes out and it makes internet available for significantly less money for zero cost at the end of it. When you look at the Neighborhood 100, now that's not our full product, right? That's not the 1 gig speed. This is enough to get people into the internet, get them so they can look for jobs, study, they can learn, they can access their billing and their bank accounts and all of that through this product. This is what we're going to want to do when we go to launch day. This is where we're going to want to work closely with the on-site teams, those property management teams, the resident experience. We're going to want to create that education base around this product that will bring the power of everything we've done over the last couple of months working together to the resident. This product is ran through the government. It's not directly through us, so there's always subject to matter of change and how it's funded and everything like that, but we will stay abreast with you on that and keep you up to date on any changes that come. There's a few extra things happening with this one that I'm excited about, but we'll wait to roll that out in January when that comes out. It's part of the budget season for that product. But this is really exciting. This I think will be a big impact for the residents. And I think, try one more time, slides. This is the full pricing of what we have to offer. So at 100 megs though, that's again enough to access banking accounts, stream some services, things like that. We have a 1 gig product for $70 a month and a 2 gig for $100. And that is basically the product suite we offer currently for residents. And that is everything we have here. I kind of ran through that, but I didn't want to take up too much time. I think it's like, appreciate the chance to get to explain this to the larger group. The small working sessions we've had, they've been phenomenal. So really appreciate the chance to work with the Huntsville Housing Authority. Thank you. Any questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
I didn't see your board when it came to price, but are you, I couldn't see it, but are you at $10 to 0, like Xfinity and some of the others?
Through the ACP program, we have 0. So we have a product which, if you do qualify, it's the 100. And yeah, thank you for going back. Through this ACP program, we have what we call Neighborhood 100, and it is $20.40 at the moment. But when you go through this program, it'll net out at 0. And then there is an iteration coming of this where it's a little bit better speed and it nets out at 0 again.
Thank you.
Joe, you're good with questions. You got one for me? I'm waiting for you to ask me one.
No, because I don't understand the process. But ACP, to tell me what's the, you said if they qualify under this program, what is that? What's that?
It is the, Austin, what, you want to help me out here, what's the ACP?
Yeah, so the ACP is the Affordable Connectivity Program, and based on any form of, let's say, whatever they're rated, monthly things that they qualify through, it'll be on the website, so I'd be happy to send that link over to you guys for reference.
Qualify, so who manages that, and who oversees that, and who determines who qualifies?
The government.
It's a government program.
It's a government system, correct.
What government?
Federal.
Our government, yeah,
Local?
Yes.
No, it's federal government.
Federal.
Yeah, the qualifications for it, I don't have all the details on it, but it is a federal program, the ACP, nationwide.
Well, yeah, it's if you get food, if you get food stamps,
Yeah.
you are disabled, or any of those things,
Say that again, now, please.
If you're on food stamps or if you're disabled, anything that you're getting a subsidy from the government pretty much qualifies you to receive the ACP.
If your children are on the lunch programs, then you qualify. That's another one that in general conversations with families, you know, when we send our teams out to work in the neighborhoods, we can kind of recommend that if your children are receiving any subsidies for their lunch programs, that you should qualify, but you got to do the paperwork on the back end. That's one thing we're disconnected from, right? They have to go through the file.
They have to go through, so you don't work with them on the paperwork issue?
They've got it, so that's where when we go through this next step, we'll have to make sure we're really informing the property team on how to help residents with that process.
We've got a step-by-step that the property can sign up, or they can direct the individual to sign up individually. And they can do it themselves, or the property can sign up and be an ACP property as well, if they're mostly, all their residents are on that, some sort of federal program already.
This is a brief outline of how that kind of looks.
So real quick, just to summarize, just to make sure that I understand, I'm going to pitch it back to you. So the grant, the $17,640 over 10 years, that's the installation that Google taking care of, and then once that's in each of the properties, then they can jump into the program at whatever level they want to. Is that?
Two separate things.
Okay.
That dollar amount is the free services we're providing to the property. That 17 comes to the property as free internet access. So we're giving 1 gig lines, that will be all set up through that. That's that dollar amount. So that has separate to do with this. This will be once they get set up as a live in a community, they can fly out through this and then get services.
For each individual resident.
The residents.
Right, you're coming to the properties, you do the infrastructure part, coming to each of the properties. So does each unit have its own plug-in?
Yes, each unit will have a fiber jack.
That is there, and they go through that program, either turn it on or turn it off, and
Those will be turned on and ready for them to sign up and set their account up with or without one of this.
Yeah.
All they'll have to do is go online and do this part of it.
I guess to answer your question, Google's covering the infrastructure installation.
that's what I thought. Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I thought.
No cost.
Yeah.
No cost whatsoever.
That's from the.
Yeah, the 1 gig service per location would be like for like this building, for the property manager or for,
Maintenance
resident
or-
use. Yeah. But then each individual, unit would have its own jack.
From a baseline standpoint, do we know about what percentage of residents currently have internet access? Because we've talked about this before, and tried to do these partnerships, nothing at this level, certainly. But we have Wi-Fi availability in the community centers and Boys and Girls Clubs, different facilities, and I see a lot of people coming up and sitting on the steps trying to get access.
One of the things I remember is when COVID hit, we had the school system bring a bus in because we didn't have a lot of access. And so this will at least provide a family to have access so their kids won't have to go and, to your point, be near a Boys and Girls Club or at a bus somewhere. We'll already have it available so they'll be able to log on. And it won't be it'll be affordable based on each family's need. But,
Absolutely. There's a level for each situation.
If they want to invest more into the product, they can pick up the other packages. But the baseline is I think the value is really the opportunity with this program here to provide access to everybody and not on a shared line. Every apartment community, every apartment home will have its own fiber line ran to it, which that means we can adjust the speed as needed, as demands change. And, we got 20 gig coming down the pipeline in a few years, that will be available as well if needed. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We definitely appreciate that. I think it's going to be a strong partnership for us. Again, Glenn, Terkeista, I know y'all kind of headed that. I also want to talk real briefly about another grant that Glenn was responsible for, and that's the child care grant that we received through the Community Foundation. That's going to allow our families the opportunity. You want to speak on that just real briefly?
We received last week a $50,000 grant from the Community Foundation, and so it's a partnership between us, Tutris, the Chamber of Commerce, and Drake Center, with a couple other partners sprinkled in there. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to pay for our residents and participants to go to Drake State to receive a child care short certificate. And if they want to go beyond that, they can. We're also going to kind of provide wraparound services, stipends. We're working with Truist Bank. They're going to do some financial education. We're working with the Catalyst Center. They're going to do some small business stuff. We also have in the budget to pay for the residents to take a 6-week small business class with CNI Solutions. We've used them before on our last entrepreneurship program. So it's going to be a kind of a whole wraparound thing. We budgeted for about 15 to 20 participants. We probably got 8 people signed up, and it hasn't even been promoted.
Very good. Appreciate that. Thank you. And then also we just last month we received a grant that our I know Mike and his crew have been working on, the lead-based paint mediation grant for $450,000, and then the housing hazard grant for $210,000. And I know that's been something that Mike and Teresa and Terkeisha and all of them have been working on, so we appreciate y'all for that. You know, again, it just kind of speaks to what we're trying to do with taking care of our residents, so we appreciate the work that goes into getting those grants. I do want to talk briefly, we didn't get a chance to wrap up what happened through the grant from Google. They actually gave us a grant to pay for children to be employed this summer. We were able to house some young people throughout the organization. They had summer jobs, and hopefully we'll be able to do that again. We want to make sure that our young people get an opportunity to get back to work or get to work to see how that feels, and all the young people actually work either through the Housing Authority or at the Boys and Girls Club, and so we appreciate that partnership as well. We had a summer basketball program that we're excited about. Quentin actually helped us with Tutris to actually get $5,000 to get a basketball program for the inner city. A lot of times our kids don't get a chance to play because of lack of coaching or whatever.
It was Truist Bank.
Truist Bank, I'm sorry. I'll tease. But we definitely appreciate that, because that again gave us an opportunity to have young people engaged a couple of nights a week where we know where they were, and we're trying to really amp that up and have more teams than we had this year, next year. On November the 2nd, we're going to have a ribbon cutting. Everybody should get an invitation. We're going to cut the ribbon on Monrovia Flats, which is a partnership between the Housing Authority and Edmonton Capital. We have 49 project-based vouchers that'll be going into that. Well, they're already there. Hopefully we'll be leasing those here in the near future. I think our time frame was mid-October maybe, that those units will open up. And what that's going to do really is kind of give us an idea of what affordable housing could look like when we have partners who are at the table who are really diving into the affordable space. And so we're excited about the 49, but then they also have an additional 89 that will go online sometimes next year. And so that's going to give us an opportunity to see what deconcentration of housing and poverty can look like through partnerships like that. So I'm excited about that. I want to thank everybody for participation at the annual meeting. I think we had a really good turnout, and to bring the Deputy Secretary of HUD here to talk and see what we were doing at the Huntsville Housing Authority. They said marvelous things about what we're doing, and excited about where we're going as an agency. Teresa did talk about the budget, and what we're challenged to as an organization and different departments is to look at the budget based on your department, because this got to be a holistic approach. And if your department is struggling, you got to provide solutions on how we get out of that and how we can really bring the budget back to at least where we're operating in the black. And so we're challenging not only Teresa and her team, which they do an awesome job, but every leader in every department to look at what the budget looks like for their department. Not last, but next to last, I do want to say this. Terica Pope is our interim public housing director. She's just been nominated for a finalist for Young Professional of the Year. And that is taking place Thursday, so we wish her well. Quentin was a former recipient of that award.
As were you, if I remember.
Yeah. But I'm excited for them about that because I think that's going to be an awesome time for her to have that experience. So
Hopefully you'll get a fair shake, even though some of the past recipients.
Yeah. Last but not least, I want to talk about CNI. There's a team from Huntsville, Teresa, Larry, and AJ. We were supposed to fly up to St. Louis, but we won't talk about the flight. Our flight got canceled, so we knew how important this meeting was, so we just got in the truck and we just took out. We took that 6-hour drive to St. Louis, and we met with an organization called McCormick Barron Salzer. They're one of the top CNI companies in the country. They have like a 94% success rate when it comes to receiving the CNI program. And we also met with a group called Urban Strategies that comes in and they work directly with the people. And what we found out is that we have a unique opportunity to transform this whole community, this Butler Terrace, Governor's Drive corridor. And I'm excited about it because I think what it will do is give our residents better access to housing, better housing, education, and hopefully job opportunities. But what's most important is that it won't look like the traditional public housing that we're used to seeing. It will look like market rate housing. The property managers will have a unique job of making sure that they manage these properties well. That's the one thing that stuck out to me, is that when you come into this new neighborhood, the whole atmosphere is going to have to be different. You're going to have to be ready to get up and get out, or you're going to have to be ready to be a top-notch neighbor, because you're going to have people from all incomes living in this community. And so we're teeing up to finalize some procurement so that we can go out and apply for this grant. We're going to have a series of meetings over the next 90 days. The grant proposal is due by December 11th. So we're formalizing a dream team of people who work together to make this happen, because I really believe that we're in a unique position to do it better than anybody in the country because of the way we're positioned. And I'm excited about it. Larry, you got anything else you want to add?
Yeah, just to reinforce, the team was up there. It was really impressive. I encourage you to look at the NOFO, which is the solicitation that HUD puts out. It's interesting that the three key components of the CNI are housing, people, and neighborhood. And there's very specific requirements under all three of those that we've got to meet. And it's exciting, and the transformation is going to be amazing. But I want to stress this, is that with a 90-day window to get the solicitation, to get the proposal put together and submitted, that is crunch time. I can tell you, coming from DOD, when you're in the last 90 days of a major procurement, everybody's got to be in lockstep. And I'm real pleased with the way the Executive McGinnis is working with Dennis Madsen, Huntsville and Housing Authority, your partner on this. And I also want us to listen to Tony. We don't need to go out and have side conversations with anybody. We need to keep this close hold, and we all need to be working together under that leadership, with Turquija helping as well. And so there's a lot that's got to come together, and it's got to come together quickly. But I'm really excited about this opportunity. This is big.
Thank you, and thanks for the update, and for the team that took the time to make that trip, travel and ride both ways there and back, as opposed to having to flight. And especially, like, thank Commissioner Lowe and Commissioner Crutcher, who's not with us today. They volunteered and have spent a lot of time in all of the developer interviews and just throughout this whole process, they've been the point persons for the board here. Obviously, we can't have more than two, or we have a majority or in violation of sunshine laws and all, but thank you for all the time and the effort and put in. All right, anything else on C&I?
That's it. That's it for me.
Exciting. That's, of course, the neighborhood that we're sitting in this whole area right here will be transformed if we're ever successful. All right. At this time, are there any public comments? Anybody signed up for public comments today? We'll move to commissioner comments. Commissioner Lowe, you have anything else?
No comments.
Mr. Williams, our attorney. All right, well, I don't really have anything either. This was a lot of information, very good, and very exciting where we're headed. So with that, we'll close and we'll call the meeting adjourned.